Welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Trevor Scott, and I'm unfortunately without Ben Slinger today. But what we've got in his place is the Inconsolables. Andrew and Paul, welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Hello. Paul here. How's it going?
I'm doing pretty well. I've just come back from Adelaide, so I'm a little bit tired.
Yeah, fair enough. And we don't need Ben. It's fine.
Yeah, I actually gave him an option to come on board if he wanted to. And he goes, unless you want screaming kids in the background, then no. I said, no to screaming kids.
Always say no to screaming kids.
So, today we're going to play some Click Pitch, which is where we've each got a random word generator in front of us. On the count of 3, 2, 1, we're going to click. We're each going to say our words, and then we're just going to riff on them. So, let's get started.
Sure.
So we're going to pull up the word generator, and 3, 2, 1, click. Invocation.
Fireproofing.
This is where I show how good I am with words and grammar and stuff. Belligerent?
Belligerent?
Belligerent.
Okay.
I cannot say words and... Hang on. Yeah, belligerent. There we go. Thank you, Google.
Fireproofing,
Okay, so it's fireproofing, invocation, and belligerent.
Well, invocation always makes me think of wizards and magic. That's just a D&D
exactly
in me
where I was
coming
going.
out. So, fireproofing.
Yep, so you're a wizard doing fireproofing. So is it fireproofing for a belligerent dragon?
I was thinking it might be fireproofing for a belligerent set of villagers who are upset at your experiments.
Okay, cool. What's
Get
wrong?
to be an evil wizard.
Okay, so you play the evil wizard or you play one of the townspeople?
I think you play the evil wizard, because there's not enough games where you're evil, right?
Okay. So what's it going to be like kind of like a defense game where you're, maybe like sort of like Lair where you're building up defenses around your, I guess, keep or whatever you've got.
That's pretty much exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking like a tower defense where you are, well, we're talking about fireproofing here, so the villagers are obviously going to be an angry mob with their pitchforks and torches. And
Right.
so...
basically a lynch mob. So they've also got, nooses and all that sort of stuff coming towards you. So
you've got to try and prevent them from burning down your wizard tower. Because you're a wizard, you have to have a tower.
And you can use different spells to, instead of the typical tower defense game where you're building towers, you actually enchant the towers or something like that, and you create different defensive spells.
Perhaps. I mean, if you're an evil wizard and you're being lynched, then you're probably summoning undead or doing other typically evil spells. So perhaps you have a bunch of golems and stuff.
A flesh golem called Frankenstein. Frankenstein's monster. Frankenstein's monster. Well, I guess that's a technical name. I'm going to shut up now because I'm thinking too deeply into this.
We can call him Jimmy. That's fine.
Jimmy.
Yep.
Yeah, so thinking, you set up your towers and, aside from that, maybe you've add a bit of Dungeon Keeper flavour to it as well. So you've got your little dudes who are mining resources for you, which will let you cast your spells to enhance your towers, perhaps?
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, the lynch mob just gets bigger and bigger and bigger as you play, and then they start bringing in knights and stuff from the Lord of the Land to, make the game tougher as you progress.
What I'm wondering is the lynch mob that originally goes in rather small, and if you kill a certain percentage of them, they start running away?
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Just a bit of a morale system there.
So it's that sort of thing, like we are really getting trounced, so they start running away, but if you've set up your defenses good enough at the back, they can all of a sudden start stopping them from running away too fast as well. So you've got that double sort of tower defense.
Yeah, so they go in both directions.
Where as they come in, you can maybe lay a trap for them to come in, and then totally obliterate all 100% of them, and you get bonuses based on how many percent you actually destroy.
That'd be cool. I'm wondering if enough of them escape, they come back with more tougher people as well. So they're going to get help rather than just running for their lives.
But I think what would be cool with a tower defense game, because quite often you set up certain tower defenses, and that's your one strategy, and you just keep on building on that strategy.
Yeah.
What if they start adapting to that strategy?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Ooh,
if you let them escape, it maybe it fills up a bar, which will go. Okay, they'll bring in certain techniques to help them against certain traps or towers that they've obviously come across before. So the more you let escape, the faster they adapt.
And that's where the fireproofing comes into it, because you've got all these fire towers, so they start coming with massive sheets of asbestos to protect themselves with.
But if you let too many of them escape, it takes a couple of years in between each sort of lynch mob, and you see some sick ones that start coming through with like respiratory problems and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, you brought up asbestos, and I immediately went to that.
It's the only thing I think of. I've got the word fireproofing emblazoned across my screen.
No, I reckon that's actually a pretty cool game. That's something that it's never really been done before.
Yeah,
like a tower defense game that normally it's kill everyone, but in this one it can actually be a challenge to kill everyone because they actually have brains.
Yeah, and they're learning to adapt. And maybe if you're like sort of figuring, so you need to keep bringing in different towers because maybe they've got different ranges as well. So after a few generations of just using the same towers, they figure out a path where none of your towers can actually reach, and so they're just zigzagging down the path.
Yeah, and then they can maybe send some, one of the last levels has a good wizard that comes in and is counteracting most of the spells that you've used in the past.
Okay.
So sometimes you got to save like some other versions of the towers for later levels so that they don't adapt to those particular ones.
Yeah, and perhaps you've got to, like, if they're bringing in a hero unit like a wizard or a paladin or something, you've got to try and focus them to get them down first. And that would result in the morale break happening quicker as well, if you take down their boss.
Well, we're talking about, using slaves and necromancy work before, so perhaps, as we kill the villagers, we also, just to show how evil we are, we use their corpses to create more workers, which increases the resource collection as the game progresses.
Nice.
And
then this is also maybe how you also create hero classes of your own to help combat the AI's hero clases.
Because you just like stitch together a bunch of the dudes you've killed to make this massive flesh golem of death.
Yes. So there we go. That's helping show how evil our wizard is.
Well, yeah, we've got to be evil.
I love it.
If we're going to be evil, we've got to go full evil. You don't go half evil.
I really love it. I just love the idea of seeing that massive zombie flesh shield right in front that takes them a while to get through.
I'm wondering if you've got to be careful how badly you kill the enemies as well. Because if you completely obliterate the enemy's corpses, you've got nothing to reanimate.
Perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps you've got using too much fire, you burn them to ashes, and you don't have any guys to pick up your resources for you.
Yeah, it could be like perhaps like you got like as you're selecting like what spells and what traps and stuff you're going to set up. It tells you how destructive it is to the original corpse or to the to the body it is. So as you said, like if it's a fire spell, it's going to completely destroy the outside of the body and probably perhaps the whole body.
If you overpower it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we should click again.
I think so.
And 3, 2, 1, click.
Ooh. Safari.
A word I could say. Salting.
Imperfection.
Salting, okay. Safari, and imperfection. It's weird because
salting is the hard one. Safari and imperfection, I think, is kind of cool.
I just hear the word Safari and imperfection together and think of the Mac web browser.
See, I was actually going a jungle safari.
Well, yeah,
but it's an imperfect one. So what I was thinking is that maybe what you've got is a jungle safari where it's like a theme jungle safari, and your whole idea is to create the imperfect jungle safari. So you're actually an investor who's trying to get the park to fail.
Okay, then. Not for insurance purposes, or like a producer's kind of thing?
Yeah, I think it's a producer's sort of thing that it was sort of like a tax write-off, so he didn't have to pay as much tax for his other businesses.
Yeah, fair enough.
But it's going really well. So maybe to bring Salt into it, he organises some groups to go and kill some of the animals and serve them up, and therefore it's salting the meat.
See, I was wondering, like, if you take a different tack with the safari path, right? Now, an imperfect safari could very easily land you in a Jurassic Park with lions situation, right?
Right.
Yep. Love
And
it.
so it becomes a survival game. And so you have to, kill some game to survive, and you need to salt it to preserve it.
Oh, yeah.
And then you've got any kind of sandbox survival stuff with lions and tigers and bears, oh my.
Damn it. God damn it.
I was waiting for it.
If he wasn't going to do it, I was.
Someone was always going to do that.
Okay, so what gameplay elements are you seeing in this?
Well, that's the thing. I hate survival games, so we need to make one that doesn't suck, right? So, the problem with safaris. The problem with survival games is that it always feels like you're babysitting meters as they disappear. Like you just, I'm hungry. 30 seconds later, I'm hungry again. Same with thirsty and tired. I don't think we do away with all of that, but we do need to add more to it than just kind of babysitting meters, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. So how about this? Safaris are quite often, accompanied by hunting.
Yeah.
What if you've got a team of people who are the hunters, and you've got the rest of the people in this particular map, kind of PlayerUnknown, but battleground style. But
I think I see where this is going.
They are people on the run from basically the cannibalistic hunters, who the idea is that if you take out someone, you've got to salt the meat and save it so that you've got some food. The other team, they've got to scavenge for weapons, which there's no actual weapons unless they can sort of kill someone with a melee weapon, and they can steal, say, the rifle or something that the hunters have got.
Yeah, so some kind of twisted, almost Hunger Games-like thing. We've got, one team went on safari, but the entire thing was, a lie to lure them into this sort of death zone where the hunters are trying to kill them, and they're just kind of surviving and looking for weapons and trying to not get murdered.
To help balance this out, I think the survivors, since they don't start off with guns, will need the ability to make traps, because having a team start off with guns and another team needing to kill them to get the guns, it easily could turn into the hunters just, slaughtering the prey.
That's the whole idea. You've got to be smart. You can't just run straight up to it.
Yeah, but that's why I suggested giving the ability to maybe set up traps in some way.
Yeah.
Distractions and... Yeah.
Traps, distractions, perhaps tame some of the wildlife to annoy the crap out of the hunters?
I think what comes into it is, and this is where sort of the imperfection comes in, all your characters that you build in your character creation have to have an imperfection of some kind.
Okay.
You may have a lot of strength, but you have to actually put in that, okay, this guy's actually rather fat and slow. But he's really strong. And then you can have someone else who's really really fast and slim, but not very strong. And so what you could actually have is, if you're on, say, the hunted side, you could actually hurt one of your companions, trip them over or something like that, and then run. So that
you only have to be faster than the guy next to you.
Exactly. So I kind of like that idea of, rather than you're working together to try and escape, it's literally you're just trying to leave yourself. You don't care if anyone else leaves.
I feel like that's going to sort of hit the DayZ problem, where it's everyone kills each other, and it's the hunters team always win as a result, because there is a team that is just trying to kill everyone.
Mm-hmm. But you could always team up and help. But then you're creating more noise and all that sort of stuff. Really, your first 10 minutes of the game is you're literally there with the hunters. They let you go, and you've got like a count of 20 to get as far away as you can, and then they start coming. And so they've got some sort of sensors that if say you're sneaking through the bushes, just slowly getting away, then you leave less of a track for say, like the eagle sense ability that the hunters get.
You can give them dogs. Dogs.
Yeah, so they could always have dogs or something like that.
Or the dogs will explain how they've got the eagle thing, but then you need to find the river as quickly as you can.
But that's the thing. If you had a randomized map every time,
there might not be a river,
or it's just a randomized part of, say, the PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds.
Just drop you somewhere.
And because there's no vehicles, there's no nothing like that. It's just you trying to get away from everyone else.
It's just don't die.
Trying to survive yourself.
Well, what if we? I'm wondering, what if we made the hunters AI? So.
Oh yeah.
Because it feels like it's very much stacked in the way onto the hunter's side, really. So to maybe combat that a bit, if the hunters were just AI, so you're dealing with bots and you're dealing with humans as well, and you probably always have enough players that have a decent game then too. I think.
Yeah, but I think the problem is there, like, how accurate do you make them with the searching for you and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, because and also another thing, like, humans will eventually work out the AI for the hunters. Eventually, it will start getting boring after a while, I think.
Oh, that's why you patch it and switch it up every week.
Yeah.
I think maybe what you could have is it's a different sort of control scheme for the hunters. Maybe it's like a Command and Conquer sort of
like an RTS kind of thing.
An RTS just for the hunters, and everyone else is in like a third person or first person sort of thing. So the hunter, the hunter guy could actually be selecting his troops and getting them to move over here, and they just take a while to move over there, and then they can start tracking, having fogs of war and all that sort of stuff. So
that was just making me thinking, like, make it a bit more asymmetrical. So maybe you get one guy that just controls like a group of hunters, as you said, like RTS style, and then you got actual players down playing as the prey, down in their first person or third person view.
Now we're talking. That's really cool.
Yeah, I so would play that game.
I'm trying to think if there was. I seem to recall there may have been a game I played ages ago that did mix RTS and third person shooter, but I don't think it really stuck around.
Battlefield 2, I think it was 2, had a commander role where you just not play as one of the soldiers, but jump into the commander view, watch the map and go, okay, squad, move over here. This squad, move over here. Okay, I'm send bombs over here. And you actually talk and control the people on your side as a commander.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool.
But I don't think that stuck around for the other games. And I know people that really enjoyed Battlefield 2 did miss when it didn't return in other games. But
it's when you actually had some good squad leaders who actually listened to the commander. Yeah. I played in some games where the squad leader or the commander just never did anything, and it was like, what the hell? Why are you even bothering to be a squad leader?
Yeah.
But in this case, it would just be one person controlling, say a group of 3 hunters or something like that, and having to select them Command and Conquer style and just set them in this sort of area. You could set them up to sort of like recon a certain area, and if they saw someone, then shoot. And so you didn't have to actually. It was all line of sight sort of stuff.
Yeah, so on the one side you've got your tactics squad-based RTS, on the other you've got shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, trying to sneak away as far as you can, setting up traps, and depending on how long you've had to set up that trap, depends on how much noise and how much disturbance to the ground that you made, and using some of the RTS sort of stuff, you can see whether there's been tracks or something being run through this area of mud and...
Yeah, it could get really deep, yeah.
And because you're not relying on the AI, you're actually relying on someone to go, okay, these are the rules I'm setting up for this hunter as he's standing here.
Yeah.
And, depending on the sort of play style of the hunter and also the hunted, it could actually be quite cool.
Yeah. There's a lot of potential here.
Yes. Not really funny, but it's...
awesome. Not really funny, but yeah, quite cool.
Not evil wizard funny, but hunting down humanity for your own entertainment funny. Wait a minute.
Yes.
Wait a minute.
Reminds me of that episode of Futurama.
Oh, God. Okay, I reckon we should click again.
I think so.
3, 2, 1, click.
Well then. Wrestling.
Outfitting.
Cellar.
So wrestling and outfitting works for a WWE game, but cellar.
Obviously, we're a shop that makes WWE wrestling costumes and sells it to the WWE.
How
to make that into a game?
It's actually CWE. It's the Cellar Wrestling Foundation, or the Cellar Wrestling Entertainment, and it's basically you do all these fights in a wine cellar.
Yes.
So basically, you got destructible environments that like you outfit your your people in all these different clothes. You know, you got full customization. It's a wrestling game, but as you throw people into like the red wine stack or something like that, if they were white, all of a sudden they're covered in red and all that sort of stuff. It's sort of maybe you're trying not to get your outfit stained because it's being televised and you want everyone to know who you are. And
then why would you ever wear white to this thing? I'm going to wear a dark red costume so that when I stain it with wine, it doesn't look any different.
Well, I guess in that case, you just have different levels where it's like maybe outside in the fighting area, there'll be like a mud pile that you have to try and push them into in certain levels.
Well, that actually could be the whole shtick of it. Instead of it being like your typical sort of wrestling where you are aiming for a pin or a submission or something, maybe you are just trying to dirty the other person's outfit with wine as much as you possibly can. And it's just the most expensive waste of grape juice there ever was.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know, maybe you got some special attacks that you can do if you drink some of it.
Yes, maybe it numbs like the pain, so you can do more risky maneuvers, or you can take a bit more before you're incapacitated. It's like, but at the same time you're slower and less coordinated.
Yeah, and you get that sort of like the Grand Theft Auto drunk sort of thing where you're pushing one way and all of a sudden it starts going the opposite way.
It just ignores your controls for a little bit.
Inverted controllers, no.
You've got your taunt button and your character starts slurring all of his taunts because he's drunk.
But if you go too far, then you start throwing up everywhere, and
you can use that to dirty up the other wrestler's costume.
If you throw up, you get disqualified. There are rules here. We are sophisticated. This is wine we're wrestling in, not beer.
Yes.
We're fancy. We've got to go with like the most expensive wine you can find. You
sound like my mother. I can drink as much as I want.
So I'm just imagining these wine cellars are quite varied as you go through. Like there's some small ones that don't have too much wine in. Then there's these massive ones from like these massive mansions which have all these dusty bottles off to the side, and
like 500-year-old perfectly aged wine.
Yep, maybe even secret passages in some of these wine cellars that lead you into unusual rooms. I don't know, like a sex dungeon or something like that.
The sex dungeon secret level. That'd be concerning.
Whips and chains.
Well, wrestling has weapons. Aside from just pulling out wine bottles, what else are you going to use? Whips and chains from the hidden German dungeon. And I don't know what's going with that.
So you can launch people into the dryer and things like that. It doesn't just have to be sex dungeons.
Well, exactly. But you could also, use the hidden laundry to sneakily clean up your outfit, right? Because you are trying to not just injure the other player, but dirty their outfit. So you can get a sneaky clean happening there, and, that's how you restore some health.
What?
You just pour some stain remover on.
Yeah.
And just rub it in.
It works instantly, doesn't it? That's totally how it works.
So perhaps they just got hidden just bleach bottles and stuff hidden around the arena. You just got your flag and it's like, dump it on you.
Just dump it on your head.
Oh my god.
Dump it on your head and after a while your hair goes white.
That's okay, that's just part of your outfit being cleaner than the rest of it, right?
I know, I'm seeing this as being televised. You've got different sort of wrestling stars as well. But unlike most wrestling games where you get to choose, any old wrestler, no, you have to actually build these wrestlers up from the start, which is where the outfitting comes into.
Yeah, you have to come up with a costume that is a combination of interesting and eye-catching to the crowd, because, if you don't have fans, then there's no point. You're not going to make any money off merch, right?
So you can't just go I'm going to go all black. Well, because guess what? If you're both all black, then they don't know who the hell they're voting for, so...
Meanwhile, you've got white and green stripes. It's you're very eye-catching. But at the same time, you have to pay for your cleaners bills between matches, and you've got to pay for the wine that you've damaged or used up.
Okay.
What I'm saying is the loser has to pay for that. So if you win, you don't get any penalties or anything like that. Especially if you smash a dusty bottle over the guy's head that's worth 15 grand or something like that. I think
And then the final, you get, or even that better, you can extend it from just like the wine cellars as well, because you get to some of the later levels, and it can be in the grapeyard or in the vineyard.
Oh yeah.
So you're not just like you're throwing them into the source of the wine and just smash grapes all over them.
It just travels the globe looking for different wine sources.
yeah. I guess that level's the Grapes of Wrath level.
Yep.
All right. Well, we need to modernise this game. We need to stick it with the with the kids and integrate Twitch streaming and esports into it.
That sounds good.
So you were talking about crowd interaction. So instead of having an in-game crowd, the crowd is the Twitch viewers. And they vote.
Oh, well, in that case, do you want to run this through Mixer, right? So
there we go, Mixer.
So that the people watching it can just start throwing wine bottles at whoever they don't like who's fighting. and it adds to the overall cost as well.
Oh, God. I'm just imagining, the professional matches out there that, they decide that they don't like this one person and 50,000 wine bottles get through this one guy.
Instant loss.
I would love to see that guy still win. I would love to see him still win.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Let's click again.
All right.
3, 2, 1, click.
Where is it? There it is.
Skyline.
Crescent.
Minuet.
Minuet.
From what I can tell, it's a dance. A slow, stately ballroom dance for two in triple time. Popular especially in the 18th century.
In triple time, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, almost like a waltz. Okay.
Yeah.
And, okay, so...
Minuet, Crescent,
I'm seeing this as, it's a multiplayer game. One player plays the sun, one player plays the moon.
Oh.
And it's the dance of the two celestial objects. And pretty much the moon's whole idea is to try and go, when it gets to a full moon, intersect and be, eclipse the sun. That's its wind condition. And, the sun's wind condition is to, try and, just trying to think what the sun's wind condition is.
I'm a little lost here. So yours was celestial, was it?
No, skyline.
Skyline. Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
Yep. And I'm seeing crescent as crescent moon, and then
that works. And skyline works with that
as the dance that they sort of do.
Well, then perhaps the sun's wind condition is to keep the skyline illuminated as long as it possibly can.
Okay. Yep.
Because if the moon's if the moon is attempting to become a full moon, then you have to have the passage of time, and so the passage of days and night cycles happening. The sun doesn't want that. The sun wants to stay up and heat light everything
forever.
There is forever, perhaps.
So I'm wondering what the controls for this would be. I'm thinking you could actually have with the sun. They've got some sort of gravity powers, so they can sort of knock the Earth sort of out of alignment again, and all these different sort of things, rather than directly controlling the sun. Maybe you're actually controlling the Earth, and it's from this one particular point. So one person controls the moon, one person controls the Earth, and it's almost a strategy game of trying to change the alignment of the Earth through gravity pulses to...
Yeah, so you're sort of doing opposing... I guess, just opposing maneuvers. And so if you happen to manage to make them complementary maneuvers, then time may well pass. And so the moon is progressing towards their wind condition. Mm-hmm. Because you want a certain amount of time to pass so that you can hit your full moon. Meanwhile, the sun's just trying to stall it for predetermined value amount of time. And so one is trying to kind of go with the other while the other's trying to stop it, perhaps, but no one can see what the other person's doing until you see the results in games. So kind of a weird dance where one person doesn't want to and the other person's trying to turn everything that the other person's doing into the dance move, almost like an ebb and flow kind of feel.
Yep. So now I'm just wondering whether the game should actually be you got two people standing on the Earth, and they find out that they're the representations of the moon and sun, and they've actually got to work together. Yeah. Like if one person moves one way, then the other person has to try and follow the movements and that sort of stuff. If it's a cooperative game instead of it being a fighting sort of game of the moon's trying to win. Maybe they're trying to actually get everything in alignment.
Oh, yeah, so
but the way
perhaps
to
they
do
are...
that is...
Yeah, so they are trying to work together, but they don't know what the other person's doing.
Yep.
They both perhaps make their moves at the same time, and then the next few seconds show the results of what happened, and so they're trying to act off the information they have to complement the other person's maneuvers.
So I'm imagining this needs to be a Nintendo Switch game, and the HD Rumble
Joy-Cons.
needs to be like
And movement
really
controls.
amazing, and tells you you tell via feel as to which way you have to actually move the controller. So it's strictly a movement based sort of thing that you feel the movement, so therefore you got to go in that direction.
And so it turns into a dance, because you do have to kind of feel what your partner is doing and go with it rather than against. So it is kind of, this is really cool.
Yeah.
For ages, I was like, how, with the sun moving, I was like, how can we make this entertaining? Because to me, it sounded boring. But no, this is starting to sound more interesting. Yeah.
Oh, believe me.
It was all high
I tried
concept.
going
then.
somewhere,
Yeah, it
but then I'm
definitely
like,
was, but this is how game
it's
design
too high,
goes.
high concept. Yes, you start with the high concept idea, and then you go really deep into the nitty gritty and throw away everything else.
Yeah, well, the game concept has a very romantic feel to it, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah.
I feel like the art style would have to kind of be minimal to complement that.
Yep,
Kind of
beautiful
like minimal,
skyline.
beautiful
So we'll cover
skyline.
that. Beautiful crescent moon at the start, and maybe the better that you actually dance and get in tune with each other, the more full the moon actually gets.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah,
So-
and perhaps you start getting things like, flower blossom storms and things. Like, the better you're doing, like, more and more flourishes as the whole dance progresses, and the music, have the music improve and reach a crescendo as you're succeeding more and more, and just make it as beautiful as you can.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I was just thinking, like, because we'll talk about how before, like, we have this maybe as a Switch game, so each person will have a controller, and it's going to be like follow leader, where one person's doing movements and the other person's going to try to follow that movement in a sort of rhythmic dance. Now, we're going to probably make this so, like, if, like, you're obviously watching the other partner, kind of like how they try to do their 1, 2, 3 switch, but obviously we'll design it better. Anyway, you're doing, this whole dance thing, and, as you're progressing, as you guys are saying, it's doing this scene, but it's, like, building up the scene. So when you do finish, you get to watch the replay and see maybe the characters somewhat copy what you're doing, see how you can actually do that, but actually see the scene grow and see what you've done after you finished playing. Sort of like a replay, so you can watch that scene fold out in all its beauty afterwards.
Yeah, because if you're watching each other, then you don't see it. Yeah, good point.
Given that the Switch doesn't actually have real inbuilt voice, talking between friends and that sort of stuff, it's an online-only game.
Oh, okay.
So you don't actually have any communication with them. So you have to actually rely on the feel.
Oh, okay, so each person will have to have two controllers in their hands, and it's translating those feels. So okay, I get it. So that's going to be
so it is like a proper waltz without seeing anything of what the other person's doing. And I mean, I'm not 100% sure how they're online. Like, they're doing an app for voice chat, but I don't know if that's like per game or whether you do a party chat separate. So
I believe it's through a phone as well, which is just
it is definitely through a phone.
Yeah.
I can see what they're going for with that, but that would be interesting, because even if you did get the voice chat working, you still can't see what they're doing. And in a dance kind of thing, talking someone through a dance while you're doing the dance with them, just vocally, still makes it incredibly difficult. So the online only sounds really cool.
I don't know whether you guys actually know this, but I am a ballroom dance teacher.
Wow.
Yeah. I've been doing it for years. That's right. I play heavy metal. I do ballroom dancing, and I'm also a podcast host.
Man of many talents.
So it can be incredibly hard to actually talk someone through while you're trying to also do it at the same time. So I don't think it would really, make it too hard. But I just think the challenge of actually having to rely on the actual feel of the controllers, and you can feel when, like, if you feel some pressure in this hand, then you got to do something with this hand. And you feel some pressure in the left hand, you do some left.
Well, that's the thing with the HD Rumble. So what you do is you can, at the start of the game, you go, okay, you have to be in this default starting position. So they both have to start in the same position, and then obviously, I guess, randomized goes who's the leader and who's the follower. And the thing is, as one person will say move like right hand up, they feel in the controller of the right hand, the rumble will actually push upwards on the controller, signaling for the follower to move that hand upwards.
Yeah, because I think you've got to have a leader and a follower.
Yeah.
And maybe in say round 1 you've got you're the leader, and round 2 you're the follower. So it actually judges you both based on how well you actually led and then followed, and then you get the beautiful scenery and all that sort of stuff. And I don't know,
all the really not so beautiful scenery if you fuck up too badly.
Oh yeah, and fire and brimstone if you totally fuck up.
I'm just saying,
you did badly, so you destroyed the Earth because the sun was out for too long and just burnt it.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, just to give a bit of an entertaining twist to it. It's like if you did really badly, and perhaps late, and if you recover it, then you maybe perhaps rebuild this this destroyed Earth halfway through the game, and then reach a neutral point.
This destroyed skyline.
And
as
you just got the sky literally cracked in half, and then it just sort of repairs and starts to look beautiful again once you succeed.
I really like that. I think if we made that a nice cheap game, like maybe $5 on the Switch store, people would buy it and they'd play it. And
I can imagine that would be something along the lines of one of those games like Journey or Flower, where it's just a really ends up being a beautiful style of game, very simplistic.
You know what? I want that game company to make this game.
Yeah.
Yep, that'd be awesome.
Surely they listen.
They've got great styling.
Surely they're listening.
Yeah, of course they do.
Guys,
of course they do.
Make this game.
Sponsor
I want it. I want to play this game.
Let's click again.
Sure.
3 to 1 click.
Oh, but that one really started off for me, just where the heck are we going with this? And then turned into something beautiful.
Yeah, I'll try to edit it down as quickly as possible. So we can get to the meat of it.
So I got mishap.
Oh, wow, that works well.
Why?
Manic.
Manic.
Manic. I got disability.
Oh, no.
Paul's immediately concerned. Well, you got mishap, so you've got a disability due to a mishap.
Oh god.
Well,
wow.
just because you're saying mishap and disability, it doesn't have to be the typical disability of someone being disabled.
Not necessarily.
It can just be say it was a crowd game in which a whole heap of people are in this area. Something happens, and whether it's an earthquake or something like that, and everyone starts getting manic. The whole thing is, can you get out of this area without being disabled by whatever force of nature
happening.
it is?
So it's some kind of
for some reason, I imagine
disaster movie survival game.
For some reason, I've gone quick time events, which is bad. No, Paul. And then my next thought was...
naughty Paul.
And then my next thought was, you're looking for a lost child. Jason!
Jason!
But no.
Well, that's what you said, crowd, yeah. But actually, that could be interesting if you've got, say... Okay, to bring up PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds again, right? So you do the thing where you get 90 to 100 people, but you throw them into an area and then have whatever disaster happens... And have people try to survive the disaster in whatever way they can. And they can team up to help each other, or they could throw each other under the bus. And it's kind of almost like a social experiment / game. And your goal is to survive, but the whole group does better if more people do, perhaps.
Yeah, so I'm seeing it as, people can be disabled in the game, as in, can be brought down, but you can revive them. And maybe the whole group gets more points depending on how many people actually escape. But there's mishaps and stuff that happens. Say, in this particular game, all of you are at we'll just say a concert, and then a massive monster comes in and starts stomping the crowd. Then everyone's got to sort of get out of the way. But as you're running, there's a fire hydrant explodes and water's going up everywhere, and it slows you down. And I don't know, you could just have different mishaps happen within the city that you're trying to escape from.
Yeah, and we just
as well as a sort of big thing.
So I can see some of the entertainment in this being having different types of scenarios. So as you said, maybe a monster. One could be an earthquake. One could be a tidal wave. One could be a volcano, twister. And I think that would Sharknado. Yeah.
Hey.
So that's where we go. We go very silly with some of these, just to make it that's the entertainment factor of this. Just being silly with the disasters we could have.
This is just reminding me of like when I used to play SimCity as a kid, and I would always just like load one of the preloaded cities and then just set Godzilla in.
Well, there you go.
Except you've got that, but you're in the city and trying to get out.
So I'm thinking that the longer it goes on, the more mishaps happen. You know, maybe you get to a certain area of the city and you think that you've actually escaped from the Godzilla, but because a whole heap of you are condensed in one place, the AI behind it decides, you know what, I'm going to send in, aliens, in this particular area. So you got facehuggers and stuff like that, creating more, manic sort of scenarios. I'm just imagining, how many things you could actually add in at the same time to make this more manic.
We could probably
perhaps it keeps running and running until everyone's disabled, and it's like, and everyone's collective score is how long you last.
I was just thinking with the whole design, when to send more stuff at the players. Remember the AI director for Left 4 Dead using something similar to that, where it's like, okay, they haven't had this for a while, so let's throw more of this at things at them, like more aliens or whatever, or more mishaps. It's like, okay, we've done enough to them for now. Let's give them some supplies or some stuff to help them, recuperate for a little bit before throwing more crap at them. So,
So I'm just wondering what the sort of gameplay is. I think kind of similar to the hunting game. I think if you actually were able to knock people down, then that's maybe you get points deducted for that. Maybe it's supposed to be this whole thing of, you're trying to help people out. But throwing them under the bus is probably not the best way of actually playing this game.
So
unless you're in a situation where one person's death saves 15 others, and then you've got that moral dilemma.
Yep. So I'm just imagining that in this game you've got the morality meter, and if you screw over too many people, then you get deducted, but screwing over one or two is okay as long as it helps more people. So it's that sort of thing that the system will actually decide if what you did was for the greater good.
Yeah.
Yes, so, it's kind of like the ends justify the means occasionally.
So what I was thinking is maybe putting in maybe not a time limit, but putting pressures on where they have to be forced to move very quickly, but at the same time be careful of, as you said, have that morale system where they don't want to be running over people at the same time. But I want to make that pressure where they want to do that, they want to run over people, but we penalise them for it. So, I don't know, I think that makes it a bit interesting where it's it creates that sort of panic of, we need to get over here now, but there's all these people in my way. What can I do? It's so you get the choice of trying to rally them together and actually work together and move. If we're saying we're putting into multiple people actually playing at once, or just try to screw them over. But at that point, you lose points, so you might win at the end, but you might have the least amount of points. I don't know.
Yeah. So did you really win?
Yeah.
I'm imagining in this one particular scenario, you and a whole heap of other people happen to find a bus, and the bus can happily seat, say 30 people. But the more that you go over that, the slower the bus becomes, because the engine can't actually handle that. So it'll go, close to top speed at 30 people on board. But if you go 31, 32, you get more degrading speeds of the bus. So your greater good is, if you're trying to get away from, say, the Godzilla, if you only had, say, 25 people on that bus, you could have actually got away, but because you had 33 people on it, you were just slow enough and Godzilla picked it up and killed all 33 of you, or whatever. I think that would be a greater good sort of situation of, you get more people out of the city
than you would have if you had too many on the bus.
This particular thing. And of course, it doesn't have to necessarily be, okay, this is your scenario straight away. It could actually be, you start in an office building and a fire starts. So your first thing is everyone's got to get out of the building. So they're all trying to run down the fire escape and all that sort of stuff. But then when you get out there and there's only X number of cars and stuff to get away from this fire, maybe the people who are left behind, all of a sudden there's a zombie plague. so you've got that sort of pressure as well.
Or you have like an escalating series of things. It's
Yeah,
like, okay, there's a fire in this building, but it was caused by the zombies, right? So that's when the zombies come in, and then, well, the zombies were caused by aliens coming and shooting people with their ray guns.
Yeah,
and then, like, it's their zombification guns or something, I don't know, and it just slowly escalates into some complete shit show where you're trying to get out.
Well, I think in game design, it's usually best sets of threes. So I guess you'll have three scenarios. So you start off in your office building. It could be a random little disaster, like a small disaster, like a fire or I don't know, earthquake maybe. So you have to get your exit out of the building. That's your first disaster. And when you exit, you got another random disaster which connects to that first disaster. As you said, zombie or maybe Godzilla or something. I guess how can we put it that way? Because I was like, that's obviously trying to exit maybe the city or trying to find transport to try to get out.
Okay.
And then the third scenario is then exiting the city with that transport.
Okay, so what if we did it that there are X number of evacuation spots at all these different places throughout the this city?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you've got, say, 30 people can be evacuated by helicopter in say Central Park, and then another 30 can be evacuated by boat down at this marina over here. And the remaining 40 people can be evacuated by bus over here. But you've got people who are literally going to be trying to run to these things and then find out that there's no space left on that, and they've got to try and find space on one of the other things, and that's where you could actually have a bit of fun with,
with the extra people on the bus or whatever.
Even the panic that comes with, oh crap, I'm counting and I see there's 31 people here. I need to get a spot on this. Otherwise I've got to run all the way across city to get into the other thing, and there's zombies that way. So I'm kind of fucked. And so I know you could have quite a bit of fun with that.
And then that's when we see the truth of humanity and watch them all start turning on each other.
Yeah, I guess. It'd be an interesting social experiment of a game, if nothing else.
It would be. So we'll click again.
Okay.
Cool.
3, 2, 1, click.
Workplace.
Salutation.
Natoli! Workplace.
Yes!
Oh, man.
We both got workplace.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's great.
Okay. So I got salutation.
So workplaces and salutations.
Should I refresh once we get a different word?
No. I think the universe is saying that we need to go with 2 different workplaces.
Yeah. And that means there has to be 2 workplaces in this somewhere. Well then,
what I'm saying is this person works 2 jobs.
So now think of the game title's called Moonlighter.
It could be, and you got different titles depending on where you are. So you've got to remember throughout the day you sort of doing a running between the 2 different jobs that you're doing, and you've got to greet different people, and it's sort of a memory game. So it can just be a mobile game or something like that, but it's like, okay, you're at job 1 and you've met this person before. Okay, so you start remembering that person's name, and you've got to actually remember which work you're at to do your email signatures and that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
a memory game.
And make sure that, call the boss by the right name, or if you're doing the actual right task. Say one of them has a uniform and the other one doesn't, you've got to be in the right clothes for the job, depending on which one you're at.
Remember the that typical movie trope where people are running between 2 different dates?
Yeah.
I'm picturing that this is you're running between 2 works, and so you're literally trying to remember the little details of okay, your boss at this work, he's got 2 kids, and your boss at this work, his wife died and they didn't have kids, and so if you bring up the whole thing about kids to this boss, he gets really angry.
Or suspicious, because like, what do you want about? So, and even better, you've got to try and remember the boss's schedules as well, so that you're in the workplace when the boss is going to see you in the right place. Otherwise they're going to know something's up, or like you've gone off somewhere. Maybe occasionally you can call in a sickie or something, so that, you've got an easier day at the other work, but you've then got to make sure you're not seen by anyone who works at the other office.
So we could make this a bit of a management as well. So as you said, like you maybe taking sick days off so you can work more at the other place, but also at the same time maybe you have I'd hate to say energy bar because I hate energy bars, especially in mobile titles.
Yeah.
But I guess being a mobile title, it needs an energy bar. You're gonna also manage like your own sleep because you're working 2 jobs at once. So you need to work out when you can sneak in sleep, maybe even sleep during work, and stuff like that.
I'm thinking that you're working at 2 competing offices at a 9-to-5 job, and you've just got to show up enough to both of them and make sure you're not caught working at the other one by anyone who works in either office. And
I think so. And I think kind of Five Nights at Freddy's style, like, you know how in that you've later on in the game you've got to like be getting a few different what's it called? Sort of like you're looking at a few different cameras at the start, and then as you go on, you've got, okay, this one's going on the fritz, so you've got to do something over here while keeping attention to this. I'm thinking if more things start going wrong over say the week, because maybe you're transitioning to this new job.
So you've got like 2 weeks or something where you've got an overlap.
Yep. So you got 2 weeks in the overlap, and at first you think, oh, this will be easy. I'll put this both email accounts on my phone so I can just get them. But then you get time limits to respond to the messages, and you got to sort of remember what your boss's name is from that job and all that sort of stuff. And you can maybe have it so that you accidentally send it from the wrong account, and if you do too many stuff ups like that, I don't know.
I found that.
You could actually. You get fired, and therefore you can't make payments on the house, and you got to start it all over again.
The other thing there is, if you're starting a new job, you want to make a good impression on your new workers, but you also don't want to give the unprofessional, well, I've got 2 weeks left, I'm just going to do bugger all at the old one, right? Otherwise I won't give you a good reference. Or they won't give you a redundancy payment or whatever, right? So you've got to try, and you do definitely have to keep both up. But I'm wondering if you bring in a system kind of like the Dead Rising games where you have these events happening at the different times. So you've got to make sure you make this meeting, or... choose which meeting you need to turn up to. So if you have that real morality of, okay, if I turn up to this meeting over here for the new job, it's not as important as there's this other meeting over here, because the other meeting is like a transition meeting that you've got to transfer some knowledge to them, and you can hurt the new job. But at the same time, it looks really bad on your new job if you're shirking meetings on your first day, or you've got to go to your like farewell party on the last day of your old job. But at the same time, you've got an important client meeting at the new one.
I quite like that idea. It again could be rather manic.
Yeah, I think that's the point of this, though. I think we've kind of gotten it too big for a mobile game, but but at the same point, you could always make this a PC or console thing. Yeah,
I was just originally thinking of a mobile game because it didn't seem to have too much story in it, but now it seems to have a lot more. that it all of a sudden it goes away from that mobile game and becomes more a narrative sort of game. So,
and then hard mode,
designers, they can come up with
hard mode is you've got to do, like, you've got one office job that you're leaving, one that you're starting, you've got a part-time job at McDonald's for petrol money, and you're doing Uber as well.
You're doing Uber during your lunch hour.
And on your way home from work or from one job to the other, and I'm going to dash from this office to the other one, so I may as well take someone there.
Oh my god!
Just got to make sure that they're not someone you work with at either job.
In there.
Yes, love Crazy Taxi.
Okay, let's click again for last time. 3, 2, 1, click.
Preservative.
Thresh.
Bravado. So, what was yours there, Paul?
Thresh.
Yeah. As in THRESH?
Yes.
Okay. What the hell is Thresh mean?
What the hell is that other than a character in League of Legends?
I believe it's kind of like that small scythe, because it says separate corn from corn or other crops, typically with a flail, or by the action of revolving mechanism. So it seems to be a tool that is used for cutting up grain.
Okay, cool. And bravado is obviously bravery and that sort of stuff.
Yep. And
what was yours again?
Preservative.
Andrew?
So
Preservative.
I was thinking maybe we could turn this into a sort of horror game where some sort of hunter or murderer is hunting down players or something like that with a thresh, some sort of tool. I don't know. Throwing out ideas.
Yep.
I guess.
Throwing out ideas.
Well, actually, thresh is a verb to separate, like, the act of separating grain from corn.
Well, there we go, yeah.
Or grain from...
Yeah, so, yeah. Well,
so...
He's... Well, there you go. It's a...
Maybe he believes you're a grain, and so he's trying to separate parts of you from the other parts of you.
So you're sentient corn.
Oh, I played a game with sentient corn the other week, man.
Maze.
Yeah. That game is weird. Anyway.
Yeah, it is.
It's a sequel to Maze, then, where you are actually destroying every character from that game.
I was actually thinking that you were the sentient corn, and you're always under threat of being eaten.
Yeah?
And preserved.
Yeah,
like
preserved. Oh no.
Well, if you're sentient corn, you're under threat of being made into popcorn.
Yep.
I mean,
and so you got to show some bravery. So what sort of game is it going to be? Is it going to be like a one of those crazy platformer, like the Super Meat Boy sort of crazy platformer game?
Oh, the death platformer.
Oh, yeah, because you just have all these different equipment around.
It's all the machinery.
Yeah, it's just all different machinery that is threshing you.
So is this really just Super Corn Boy? Like, is that what we're building here? Because I'm okay if it is.
I'm thinking so. I'm thinking so. So, you've got. I'm just wondering, are you trying to get away from, someone who's trying to, put butter and salt on you and basically turn you into an awesome popcorn treat? And
that's what I'm imagining the game over screen is. The game over screen is the person sitting down and eating popcorn or something, or...
The game over screen is just like a movie theater and just a bucket of popcorn. Like your father works exclusively for Hoyts and it's a supply of all of their popcorn.
So the start of the game, you're just a piece of corn in the field, and then they send through a massive threshing machine that just sort of cuts all the grain and sends it into the warehouse. And then, you're actually in the factory where they're trying to prepare the popcorn. So your whole thing is to try and escape the factory. But in each part of the level, each level that you're in, you're trying to escape the buttering and salting process.
Yeah, and perhaps
stopping
you have
from getting heated too much and...
yeah, so you can have fires and stuff in the level. If you get too close and too much, then you just instantly pop.
Yep, and because you're a full stalk, you can get X close to it,
yeah, you can get away with it for a little while, just don't jump into it.
But kind of like the iron bread thing.
Toasty mechanic or whatever, dirtiness thing.
A percentage of dirtiness, you got a percentage of cookedness and all that sort of stuff in that game, where you can have, a percentage of kernels popped. and or dried out, or whatever it is to actually become the popcorn kernels.
Yeah,
so
I'm thinking
you're trying to escape all that. I'm
thinking you also, after a while, maybe if you're taking too long to beat a level, someone kind of cottons onto the fact that you're sentient and trying to escape and starts chasing you. And so that's your hurry up thing. You got this crazy farmer chasing behind you, just with this flamethrower almost to instantly pop you or something.
So maybe it's like an infinite runner. It's an infinite runner that has crazy things like Super Meat Boy, except it's not fully randomized, but it's sort of that sort of random.
Randomized to a point where you can survive, but it's not going to be the same every time.
Yeah. And depending on how far you get depends on, it'll say, oh look, you survived X amount of time at 90% of your kernels popped. Therefore you get a bravery award or whatever it is. And you're going for the different awards as you play through it. Because rather than it just being a straight Super Meat Boy clone, it'd be better to have those sort of crazy mechanics, but in a continuous game.
Yeah, kind of twisted a bit too. And perhaps you unlock other characters later on, because you've got to have more than just like your one popcorn
so
guy,
you have
right?
different grains and crops that you can unlock during the game.
Yeah.
And then you have your secret character of Meat Boy that you unlock.
Steak Boy.
And
you call him
there's, like-
Steak Boy.
Yeah. Super Steak Boy.
I was thinking the secret level would be popcorn chicken.
I was just thinking like a secret level where it changes up to a slaughterhouse with the Steak Boy. But then there will be obviously...
Starts off as a
obviously
cow.
It will then start looking very close to... we're already ripping off Meat Boy, so might as well just still go all the way.
If you're going to do it properly.
Yeah, I'm now picturing like the start of that is maybe you're a cow that's just sort of running and jumping off the walls and all that sort of stuff, and then if you get caught too much, then parts of the meat run away.
And then you're like a two-legged cow just trying to escape with what's left of him.
Oh, God. That's kind of
That
that's
got
kind of
violent
horrific.
quickly.
Yes, that's
Yes.
horrifying.
You said you wanted a horror game, Paul.
I did. This is true. It's getting,
Oh
getting a bit-
dear. Let's tone it back down
So
to
I'm picture-
cartoony hilariousness again, shall we?
So I'm picturing that we've got leaderboards to see who's got the furthest. Unlike most infinite runners, there is actually an end part to the level. It's just maybe quite a long way away from the starting position, and you're trying to get there with the most amount of kernels intact. For the
perhaps.
popcorn part of
So
the level.
it's like a 2-minute run or something. And every time you make it, that's when you unlock a new character. And that's how you get your different levels and stuff, so...
And the levels are kind of randomized, so
Yeah.
I'm seeing it sort of like you can maybe have an infinite running mode to see how far you got, but in story mode you've got the factory is you've got unlimited time to escape, but it's so long, maybe I don't know, equivalent to what a kilometer would be for us.
Yeah, and
and then...
perhaps in this story mode section, you can have maybe every 5 levels have maybe a boss. So maybe like a sentient piece of machine that's trying to, like, you're stuck in one of these sentient piece of machines trying to pop you, and you got to defeat it somehow before you move on to the next running level.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I'm still stuck on these sort of changing characters as well. So perhaps you have like your 5 levels, and then you've done it as popcorn. You got away, you beat your popcorn machine, and so your next character is sort of a grain of wheat, and they're escaping from being made bread or something. And so you've got a different sort of factory and different pitfalls
Different
to avoid,
implements.
different things trying to kill you in different ways. And then you've got a different kind of boss, and then after that you've got the chicken trying to avoid becoming popcorn chicken, and then you've got your and you just got all these different. So you keep changing it up.
Yeah, different characters means different food levels that
different
you're
enemies
trying
and
to
things.
escape from. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I think that's about all we've got time for today.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you both for joining us here on Bitstorm today.
Thanks for having us.
So everyone can find us at Bitstorm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're Bitstormcast on all of those. Please get in contact with us. Let us know any ideas that you may have had for the prompts that we just totally skipped over, and you were just yelling at your podcast, going, "Come on, talk about this." We're on iTunes, so rate, review, subscribe there. Check out our website, bitstormcast.com. I'd like to thank Kuradust for our theme song, Mount Defiance, off of the album Containment Failure. You can also find us on Podchaser, podchaser.com. If you haven't signed up there, use the beta key Bitstorm or...
Well, Inconsolables.
The Inconsolables. So we're all on Podchaser. So check us out there. Give us a rating there. Rate the podcast, rate the episodes. Leave us a review. That'd be awesome. And you can find the Inconsolables and a whole heap of other awesome podcasts on the AGPN, the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network. Check it out on either Twitter at #AGPN or the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network on Facebook. So, guys, how can all our listeners contact you guys?
So you can find us on Facebook at Inconsolables Podcasts. You can find us on Twitter at InconsolablesAU. And just Inconsolables on SoundCloud and iTunes. And we're also on Stitcher. We're also on Podchaser, all of that. Give us a subscribe, come say hi. If you can find me personally at Calgar on Twitter, Kalgar. Paul?
And they can find me on Twitter at ThunderbaseAUS.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you guys on today as my guest hosts. I'm Trevor Scott.
I'm Andrew Natoli.
I'm Paul Cunningham.
A wrestling game based in a wine cellar.
I'd play that.
That was strange. So my random word, manure. I love manure.
God damn it,
We haven't
Paul.
started yet. got to intro the podcast first, and you're going to have to click again. So you just wasted it.
Paul, you wasted your manure.
I know. I
But
think we got
you've
it
just
well.
given me an outtake for the end of the episode, though.
See, I do good.